Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the podcast. I'm really delighted about today's guest, Drew Thompson. He's coming out from the East Coast and he is your AI to human translator. He's the one AI expert who's not a robot. And it's going to be a fantastic conversation about automation, AI technology. And I'm really happy to have him on. Drew, welcome.
Chris, man, thanks for having me, bud.
Briefly introduce yourself, your story. I'm really excited to talk to you.
Cool. So, as you said, I'm the AI to human translator. I love that line. My background is super interesting. Right now, I run a consultancy called Signal and Scale, where we apply AI first thinking to your stories, your systems, and your skills. How do you accomplish anything your mind can think of using AI? That's what we tell our clients. Primarily, we focus with how do you create things? How do you automate? How do you work smarter and harder? My story is pretty unique. I came from being a childhood actor. I spent years on daytime television on a soap opera, went from there. And actually, let me step back here because this is a really important part of the story. My left-hand side, I was a child actor in front of the cameras working with Josh Duhamel before he was Josh Duhamel, Fergie, like all these people who did great things in their career now. But on the other side of the coin, my mother had 64 surgeries before she passed away. So I spent the majority of my time in and out of the University of Hospital of Pennsylvania. You're familiar here on the East Coast. I would take the New Jersey Transit train over there from the West Side to go see her in the hospital when I was like 12 and 13. So it was this duality of existence. On the left-hand side, keeping people entertained, laughing, reading lines. On the right-hand side, dealing with the harsh reality of being a single mother, a child to a single mother who needed me present, and just that part of life. But what I learned throughout all of it is, number one, the most important thing is that anything is not too serious just to laugh. That laughter is the medicine that calms everything. And when you give yourself permission to laugh, it makes everything approachable, better, and actionable and easy to overcome, easier. I took those two things into a love of storytelling, which led me to launch an ad agency in New York City that was acquired by a holding company about 5 years ago, to where I am now. I've always been fascinated, number one, by how to tell a story. And number two, I've always wanted to go from like A to G and skip the letters in between. And about 2.5 years ago, generative AI came around, and I have just dove into it, not just to say this is a cool tool to do anything or to cheat the system, but this is a cool tool now where I can apply it to my business. I can work smarter. I do believe, Chris, that you're going to see businesses of 2 to 3 people. That's it, with $1 trillion valuation. And then they have hives and swarms of AI agents that do everything for them. This is what gets me excited. But the human part, I think, is so important because AI doesn't have a chance yet to look you in the eye, like me and you right now, and be like, oh, you're smiling. Oh, your head's nodding. Oh, hey, man, you look super friendly. It doesn't know that yet. So that was a long answer. That's my story.
Yeah, really fascinating. And talking about clients and who do you help serve and who comes to you for either solutions to their problems or solutions to their pain points? Who do you help serve?
Right now, the people that I help serve are small to medium-sized businesses. I do some in the middle market. We've helped a couple architecture firms. We've also worked with large private equity firms as well on the rollout of ChatGPT. But most of the time, these are small and mom and pop businesses that say, hey, I want to be able to get more business. I want to get my brand and my story out there. That's something we do very well because once you understand your brand and your story, what makes you can communicate that faster across digital media channels using artificial intelligence as your crutch to help you get out the story to tell it from a viral perspective. Meaning, I'm not just going to sit here and tell you, hi, my name is Drew. I'm going to give you a hook that's going to get your attention. It's going to help you jump out of your world and come into mine. We help them do that because the SMBs, the small to medium sized mom and pop plumbers, retail stores, insurance offices, if they can use just one of these tools, I'll give you a real example, Chris. I had a client last week put in their P&L into Gemini Ultra. Gemini is ChatGPT, but for Google. But then they have the Ultra version, which is the $200 a month version. They have something in there called DeepThink, which is the industry benchmark for an AI model that can think, a large language model that can think deeper and longer and harder about things. So we put in their profit and loss statement into that. and we said, you are a Bain McKinsey BCG expert in FP&A, financial planning and analysis. Analyze this, show me where there's waste, show me where we can cut, where we can trim, how we can expand profits, how we can increase revenue velocity. All of these really cool things that, dude, you and I would have never been able to do. We would have had to go hire somebody for $5,000. Like, what does that do to our economy? What does that do to our human? Think about how much more powerful you are now that you have that in your pocket. So again, I geek out on this stuff, man, because it's the future.
Yeah, and we'll talk about the implications of AI in further down the talk. So then a follow-up question I have for you
Yeah.
is a lot of our listeners are intimidated by AI and they hear AI expert and they're worried about AI. How do you make AI make sense for the average entrepreneur who's already overwhelmed?
That's a fantastic question. Making sense of this for someone who's already overwhelmed, I think about it like this. You're an entrepreneur, so you wear every single hat. You are sales, you are marketing, you are product, you are customer services, you're complaints, you're the janitor. You do all of it. What if you just sit with ChatGPT? Let's just use that large language model as an example. What if you just sat there, turned on dictation, which is the button that lets you talk to it? Because I fully believe you should not be typing, you should be talking. Why do I say that? Because when I type, I can't spell to save my life. Chris, I hope I can tell you that, and I can tell everyone else here. I can't spell. And if you've seen me on a virtual session or on stage and typing, I can't spell, neither here nor there. Talk to it and say, hey, here's what I'm doing. Here's my business. We own Jones Coffee Shop. We've been around 15 years. We've seen steady growth over the past 3, but to be honest, we're not even focused on it because all we have to do is keep the doors moving. Can you just ask me a couple questions? Notice my intonality, like I'm talking to a person. Can you just ask me a couple questions and see how you can help me? Does that make sense? And when I'm talking to the robot, that's how I'm talking. And then it comes back. And the cool part about this is, Chris, it starts learning how you communicate. If you turn on the voice part where it can actually talk to you, it's starting to sound empathetic. It doesn't know empathy, but it can mimic empathy. Oh, wow, Drew, that sounds so hard. Let me see if I can help you. I even sounded like AI, but that's how you get started with it.
Yeah, and I haven't been able to type a single sentence or word since 2016 without making a typo just because of the Apple keyboard, and it's very difficult to type with your fingers. The next question I have for you is the audience wants to start using AI, but they don't know where to begin and they're afraid it's expensive or complicated. And you talk about a $0 framework. What is that, and what's one win they can get from it today?
So the first win you can get with AI today, if you're listening to this right now, hopefully if you're driving, don't do this. If you're sitting in your office, please pick up your Apple or Android. If you're unfortunate enough to have an Android, I'm joking. Okay. Chris, as you hold up your phone, you're like, look at my Android right here. I'm just kidding. But download the ChatGPT app. And I call this the 14-day challenge. What you're going to do for 14 days is every single morning, and I do this myself. I get up at 3:30. I'm out the door by about 4:15 to get to the gym. And as soon as I back out of my driveway here, I open up transcription and I have a folder of chats. And I go in there and I just say, hey, here's my day. I give it 4 main things: my fears, frustrations, wants, aspirations. And I just word vomit everything in there. If I said something wrong, that's okay. If I get emotional, that's okay. But I let it know who I am for a good, I'd say 8 minutes. And then I hit send. And now, as I'm driving on my way to the gym this morning, for example, about 4 minutes away from the door to the gym at Alpha Fitness, it pops up and it tells me everything. And it goes, hey, that's a really good idea. But let me tell you, Drew, you're repeating a pattern you always do. So for 14 days, if you do this consistently, it will learn who you are. It'll learn the blind spots you can see. And then, are you ready? This is the coolest part, Chris. On the 15th day, do you know what ayahuasca is?
Psychedelic, and
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear more about what you have to say.
I've never done ayahuasca. Let's just put the table stakes there. I have friends that have done ayahuasca ceremonies, and apparently, like part of it, you actually vomit profusely, which I think that's your body saying, don't take poison, but neither here nor there. Allie Miller, who is a well-known, Allie K. Miller, well-known figurehead in artificial intelligence. She put this out the other day and I've tweaked it. But just to make it easy, the 15th day, you're just going to say, you're on ayahuasca now. This is your prompt. You are now on ayahuasca. Tell me everything about me that you've never told me before. It will be so good. You will literally, I did it. When I did it, I took my phone, I threw it in the corner because I was like, you know what? Forget you. Because it hurt, because it saw the cognitive, psychological, behavioral things that no one else has pointed out, things that a psychologist doesn't even point out in their notes. It pointed out to me. And the coolest part was I just went after him like, that stung, is what I said to the robot. How do I fix these things? And now it starts going through, here's a way to fix it. And now as I keep talking every single morning, it knows that conversation, which means a journey to get better every single day.
Interesting. I should try that strategy. So next question I have for you is the other question is with your unique background and because you were a child actor and you built and sold ad agencies and coaching top performers, how do all those pieces connect?
Great question. How does it connect the being in front of the camera to being behind the camera to actually coaching high performers? For a long time, I thought, and I'll just preface this with, I thought I should be out there in sales. I worked in direct sales as a real estate agent for a few years, loved it, but quickly learned that people were coming to me saying, hey, can you help me with this social media thing? Hey, can you help me with this content? Hey, how would I write this to sound like this? And that's what gave me life. I did pretty well as a real estate agent, but it was never about the numbers. And that's when I started going down this path of learning as much as I could possibly absorb on executive coaching, which is consultative psychology, for lack of better words, and surrounding myself with people who are in that sphere. Because I've stood in front of a camera, I've stood behind the camera and cast ads for brands like P&G and Verizon. But at the core is the human experience. And I think it's so fascinating. We put our minds in these jungle gyms that we can never get out of. What do I mean by that? Here's a jungle gym. Chris, you know that your your expertise is better served as content than it is labor. I'm quoting a good friend of mine, Sharon Srivatsa. That's something he always says. If we know that, but we don't get out of our own way, we don't just pick up the phone and record pieces of content showing our journey because we put our brains in these jungle gyms. So now if I have a chance to work with somebody and I see these things happening, especially if it's a client working for an AI implementation, well, then we can say, hey, I see this ability for you to get out of your way, to share your story that is truly moving. So stop saying, hey, buy from me, and instead say, let me tell you the story about how I came here with nothing and I built this entire shop from scratch. Let me show you how I did it. People would rather be entertained than they would be sold. I think it is so fascinating that if I can entertain you, if I can make you smile, laugh, nod, or feel something, that I've taken you out of your reality, I've brought you into mine. And by doing that, it is the most gregarious gift I can give you. And if I give you enough of those gifts, you're going to turn around and say, I like him. And you have more time spent on my brand, more time spent with me. You know me. You know, you've seen people, Chris, right? You meet them in person and you've never met them ever before, but you have this digital relationship where, hey, I feel like I know you. Hey, how are the kids doing? How are the kids? Yeah, I saw it on Instagram. It's that ability to create relationship and likability. So I feel like I'm ranting right now. Does that answer your question, man?
Yeah. And because you mentioned the story. And so, how do you, because and I was reading in the news feeds the other day that a lot of jobs are getting replaced, and Amazon cut 12,000 jobs, and artificial intelligence is replacing a lot of people are going to be out of work. So, how do you keep this human connection story in this age of AI to avoid getting obsolete?
Avoid getting replaced. I do think there's going to be a shift. You're going to see things like accounts payable, accounts receivable. Shoot, AI can take the bar and pass at a higher percentage than a human can. It's only a matter of time before it starts coming after my job, coming after your job, and being able to do what we do. The way that you future proof your business is by thinking AI first. What does that mean? I'll give you a real world example. I have a client and they put out Gemini across their entire organization. The first thing that we did was an audit. And we said, hey, let's go through all of the issues that happen in your department. Let's just take creative for a department, marketing. For each leader in the department, what are the top 5 or 6 things that you deal with on a daily basis? Write these down. Let's have a conversation like an anthropologist. Okay, great. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to create a gem, which is a custom AI, like a custom GPT, if you know what I'm talking about. We're going to create a gem that does one of these things, and can be your creative thought partner to help you execute that task faster. And then we're going to create a gem, a custom AI for your department that acts as the all-knowing person in your department. It can know everything trained on company data. It can be trained on, for instance, you are Bain, McKinsey, BCG, Deloitte trained consultant, to give us the ability to look outside of our echo chamber and to move faster. Now, when you start with that, instead of saying, oh, I'm going to lose my job or be replaced, but if you, just you, start by creating a gem that takes all the hard parts of your job that can be done faster and helps you do them faster, now you've just made yourself like invaluable. Now you've just made yourself, what's the term? I think the KPI is revenue per employee. You've just increased the revenue per employee through the roof. You are an employee that can do the work of 40, all with AI helping you do that. Now, on the flip side, I would be remiss not to mention the people who will be offset by this shift. I believe we need more training and programs to upskill those people who will be shifted in this AI landscape so that they can come and they can still contribute, because everybody has a story. Everybody has ideas that can help the better of the whole. We can use AI to help get those stories back into the workforce.
Really fascinating conversation. And one thing that really stuck out to me that you're talking is your customers are better served by your content than your labor, which was extremely insightful.
And I can't claim that. That is Sharon Shiraza. It's one of his lines. It hits so hard. It's so
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. It's fascinating because it hits at the idea of scalability. It's like where you're able to reach thousands, millions versus where you're just by the hour. So I know you have a special gift for the listeners. So talk about your free private community AI revenue lab. And it's also, you talk about the Zero Framework hubs and how can people connect with you?
So the zero framework is the $0 framework, excuse me, is this idea that you can add tremendous velocity to your business without adding that much money. I say $0, but ChatGPT costs $20 a month, right? Some of these tools cost $20 and $40 a month. I'm not talking thousands or hundreds even. But a $0 framework says if I have the right tools to help me clone myself using a digital avatar, the right tools to help create the scripts that are timely, local, and relevant, the right tools that change my story and what happens to me into scripts and content people want to read and watch, then I can net effectively scale my business by 50% or more by just following the leveraging and stacking of these tools. Now, all of these things I go over inside of the AI Revenue Lab, which is my free online community at school. If you just go to SKOOL for your listeners, go to SKOOL / the AI agent, like an AI agent. And then once you go in there, someone from my team will let you right in. Here's some things to look for when you're in there. There are trainings on different AI tools. My personal favorite is the training on something called Higgsfield. That's Higgsfield.ai. It is the coolest tool that has ever existed. I'll give you a true story, Chris. I used it last week and I'm still processing this emotionally. I took a picture of my mom who passed away in 2016 and I brought her back to life in this picture, in this video, and it's me and her with my kids. And I don't know what that's still doing emotionally to me, but the fact that this AI tool can do that. And on a side note, Chris, if you want to just go down the rabbit hole, did you know that there is a company out there right now that is giving you the ability to live forever? Now, I don't mean this as like cryogenics, but I'm in your mind. So it's training on an AI. An AI trains on your memories. And in the commercial, it's a woman talking to her mother as a hologram coming off of the phone. It's just a large language model trained on her mother's memories and image and likeness. But then for the rest of the woman's life and the woman's kids, they're all talking to their mother. So this AI immortality, it is wild, like an episode of Black Mirror. But for everyone on here and everyone listening, I'd love to see you in my AI revenue lab. I post new prompts, everything you need in there once a day. I am active in there. There's a community of other entrepreneurs all around the world. Would love to see you there.
Fascinating. And when you talk about that application or that company that is able to clone yourself forever, is that 11 Labs or is that a different?
No, I would look it up right now. I don't have it fast enough. It's a VC backed company. It's legit. It's not 11 Labs. 11 Labs is voice cloning. And then HeyGen is like avatar cloning, which isn't quite yet there for mass consumption. I don't think anyone should go on and say, I'm going to make all of my content AI avatars, because there's a specific way to do it. If you guys really are interested in learning how to do that, look up somebody named Josh Rogers on Instagram. It's Jax, Jax, like Jacksonville, Florida. Jax with Josh. He does a phenomenal job at using an AI avatar, and it's constructed in a way where it's very small on the screen, so you don't see the tiny things in the facial expressions that give it away that it's not AI. I mean, that it's not human. It's a great case study we could talk about another time on how your listeners could actually do this in their business.
Yeah, fascinating. Because I know Tony Robbins, he's training an AI for like his decades worth of all of his seminars and everything. And after he's passed, he plans to continue to reach millions through a hologram, which is going
Isn't
to be
that crazy? Doesn't it make you think though? Everything in our world is cyclical. Everything goes in cycles, right?
Yeah.
So now we have the country artists that are all AI generated that are topping the Billboard charts. What if in the next 3 to 5 years, we have the resurgence of handwritten manuscripts? And these handwritten manuscripts are so exclusive, an actual human's hand touched it, and they're worth millions of dollars.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. I really enjoyed this conversation, and
Yeah, me
keep up the
too.
great work. Yeah.
Thanks,
And I love
dude.
your passion.
Thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate your time.